Vocabulary for hijra kinship terms, as I've said. So in a hijra gharana, you have a mother and then you have a daughter. So the guru is called the mother. The chela is called the daughter. I believe in parts of North India, you also use the term for bahu, daughter-in-law, to relate to the chela, because the idea is you're coming to the mother-in-law's house and staying, right? Here in Bengal, it's daughter. And then the mother of the guru, or the guru of the guru, is your nani, your mother's mother. Then the mother of the guru of the nani is the dadi. So you use traditional kinship terms for biological and marital relationships to talk about hijra terms, hijra kinship terms. But the fun part is they're all feminine terms. It is a world made of feminine identities and feminine relationships. Your guru's sister or your guru's peer is your khaliya guru, your khala guru. So basically your mausi, right? Your aunt. So there is all of those terms. Your own sister is called your other chela. So for instance, every guru has 3-4 chelas minimum, right? So another chela of your guru is your gutiya, or your sister. So all of that. In the same way, what you have is you have terms for your biological family. So mother, father, brother, sister, even children, because you as a hijra or koti can adopt children. You have words for masculine partners, but not feminine partners. So not for a wife, but for a husband or a lover, you do have terms. Long-term lover, short-term lover, you have those distinctions, right? What you don't have is words for in-law relationships. So there is a word for marriage, because it is possible for you, or it has been possible for hijras to actually get married to somebody. But the idea that you as a woman will be accepted into the man's family as a daughter-in-law, the way a cis woman is accepted, that has been next to impossible for most of history, even today. So you will come across news that says that a transgender couple has gotten married, or one transgender with a cishet man has gotten married. But we never really know about their
what happens.
We don't know if they're living with the man's family. So we know that by and large, in-law relationships are the stuff of dreams and fantasies. It's not their reality. Many kotis are quite upset about the fact that they can't even dream of marital life the way they would like, or they can't have the marital life that they dream of. So, to answer your question, there are no words for mother-in-law, father-in-law, brother-in-law, sister-in-law. In Bangla, we have a very intricate kinship term system. You have your husband's elder brother, husband's elder brother's wife, younger brother's wife, older sister.
One has like separate markers,
Separate
terms for them.
Their spouses have separate terms. Their children, you have separate terms for. Even for your wives, siblings, you don't have any of those terms about it. You only have biological, because those relationships, whether or not you have a good relationship with your family, those relationships are still a part of your life. So
how did you? So I have so many different layers of questions. Anyway,
keep asking.
So how did you even, get access, because it's a secret language, as we know, and like as a researcher, as somebody who might not have already had any kind of relationship with the community, you did or not, I have no clue. Please tell me.
I barely did.
If that is the case, how did you get access to a language as secret and understandably so, but a secret language?
I had it very easy. I was lucky because I knew somebody who was working with the community. I discovered later that they were also part of the community, but I knew them, and I asked them whether, do you know if the community speaks a certain language? And they said, yes, I do. We do in fact speak Ulti, and they told me a lot about it. And then they said, let me introduce you to the community. So thanks to them, I got easy access to the community, and because they're a trusted person in the community, I got extended the privilege of that trust. That she's okay, she's this person's friend.
And what was it like? What was it like? What did it feel like in the beginning? How were you welcomed in? What was your initial experience, interactions with them like?
I was quite nervous because I was very ready to be rejected. I was like, no way you're working on our language. Who are you? Get out.
Yeah.
And you're here to exploit us. And that's what I thought.
Mm.
Turned out they were way more welcoming than I was expecting. They said, of course, we'd like to talk about our language. And in fact, the idea of secrecy is interesting because this language is not entirely secret either. It used to be. Now what has happened is that people have started talking about the language, writing about the language, even before my work came out.
And by people, do you mean both people outside and inside the community?
Yes, I do mean that. Sometime in few years back, 15 years back, there was a book that came out. And it had dialogues in Ulti. There's a song that came out that had a word in Ulti. So the people that I was interacting with in the community who were pretty well established and enjoyed positions of authority and power and respect, they said, our hijra gurus are not very pleased with revealing ourselves to outsiders. We would like to keep that distinction, but also our language is no longer a secret. People already know of its existence because words from Ulti have been used in these movies and these songs and these books. So this is supposed to be a secret language. In practice, it essentially still is, but it's also not a secret language in a very strict sense. So they were happy with sharing the language. They just didn't understand what I was going to do with it. In the sense, not in the idea of revealing it. They were like, it's just something we say. Like, you want to write about us, write about our lives. Like, what is this? Because people don't understand what linguists do.
Yeah. It's a common thing we face
anyway. So they're like, okay, fine, you want our language, but what's even the point?
Yeah, what are you going to do with our language? It's just
so you just have to work with that mental block and say, just trust me, just help me with this. They told me this thing. They said that if you want to catch any ulti, you have to sit in a hijra sort of house or wherever, or in a NGO, and maybe in 2-3 hours you'll catch one word of ulti. And I said, I have techniques to elicit the language, so please trust me and go with me, and I hope that I will be able to represent you, but in a different way. So I had to clarify. Any work that had happened with them until then was anthropologically based.
Yeah.
So that was about their lives and their stories. And then I had to explain that my research work is a little different. It's equally valid. It's just that the methods are not the same. So if you're going to compare, if you're going to say that, oh, that person did this, you must do this, that's not going to work. Because my methods are different from anthropological methods. So we don't immerse ourselves in the communities quite as much. We focus more on sitting in a closed empty room like this, and then trying to elicit words and sounds and structures of the language. That is how we do our work. Of course, we look at the sociological aspect of it, and that's one part of it, but that's not the main job. So,
or not at least the entirety of it.
Yes.
Yeah. And how did has that experience evolved over time? Do they now understand what you do with?
I don't think they entirely do.
But has that understanding or that expectation, or even this method that you talk about, and the understanding of why is this even relevant? So has that your interaction, has that shifted over time?
The interaction has shifted because our relationship has evolved over time. There's a lot more trust. There's this understanding of. So they used to tell me, you ask really difficult questions. So if I'd say, can I speak to more people? Who do you think? They told me that, I can't just go and tell anybody and everybody that I'm working on the language. I'd have to go through them. And they would explain who I was and, get the right people. And there was this understanding that people who were being interviewed had to have a certain level of intellect. They couldn't just be anybody. Which, as you know, as linguists, we don't believe in that. But because I was working with them, I decided to listen to them and go, let them take the lead, because otherwise if I keep throwing my weight all over the place, it might lead to problems that I might not foresee.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, you tell me who I can talk to and I can talk to them. So I did speak to a bunch of people. I did realize that yes, maybe to elicit linguistic data, I do need the kind of people who will actually answer my questions and not answer on a tangent, right?
Yeah.
So yes, so one did have to sort out people in a specific sense, as awful as that sounds. And then so yes, they got used to my methods. They still said I asked very difficult questions because I asked things like, "So if you were to replace this with this, then could you say this sentence?" And they wouldn't be able to say it because it sounds ungrammatical to them. Things like that.
Yeah. Which is something we very commonly do.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yes, at the end of the day, they understand that I work on the language. I hope that when they see my book, they'll understand what I've done with it. And I am very keen on not revealing the language as far as I can. And talking about the language more than, I mean, in the book, yes, there is examples because it's a book and it's research work and you cannot evade the subject at hand. But when I talk about the book in interviews and such, I try not to talk about the language, talk in the language, because I want to preserve their secrecy as much as I possibly can. And that's the reason I'm not giving you actual examples from the language. We're just talking about them. Uh,
But that does bring me to my final question, and that is the ethics part of it. The ethics of researching and working on something that the community has decided to keep it as secret as possible. So maybe talk. Tell
maybe
me a bit about it. Like I find it like I'm sure this is a very dicey situation. Also, it's almost like a conundrum that one has to go through. That
it is.
like I do want to work on this, but it's secret, but it's also not secret, as you said.
Yeah.
So, where does how do you actually execute an ethically informed research when you are doing a job as
Dicey as this one?
as critical as this one? I think.
Okay. Um, I just want to first talk about the younger copies we have. I spoke about the older ones who would like for the language to remain as secret as possible, and the fact that some people who work with the community have actually revealed aspects of the language, right? The younger copies live in a world where there is a lot more acceptance. Transgenders are now recognized um, by the constitution, and there is just a lot more literature and media that talks about queer people in general and transgenders in specific, right? Um, so they do not have any problem actually using Ulti, even in social media posts sometimes, or at least in the comment section of social media posts. Uh, DMs and grinder conversations and personal messages, there is a lot of Ulti happening. And I think that the younger generation is also not very concerned about keeping it private. They're very happily sharing it with their partners and friends and allies and such. Um, Sometimes to the extent that the people that they're sharing it with. So let's say somebody has slept with somebody. They've learned a couple of words. They see that lover, who's a cishet man, sees another trans person walking down the street. They use it to catcall that person. So you have these kind of problems that come up in community, and that that's the danger of actually revealing the language.
Yeah.
So one has to worry about the consequences of bringing out a language that's meant to be secret, but one also has to realize that when I started researching from a very personal, uh, selfish point of view, one always looks for background material, one always looks for data, one always looks for documentations of something.
Yeah.
But also, at a level outside of myself, it is essential for it is good, I will not say essential, it is good to have things recorded and documented because it tells us a lot about a community and a time that we don't understand. There is so much shrouded in secrecy. People have written about hijras mostly from an outside perspective, right? We don't know anything about the language. We know a certain amount about their lives based on whatever has been written. But understanding a language gives you a lot of insight into the lives of the community. We've been talking about fish,
all these
food,
different, the food, the
relationships.
kinship,